Okay, thank you everybody. First of all, I just want to thank Professor Al-Naimi and everybody at DISID for inviting me here today. It's an honor to be here. We're going to proceed as we have in the last session. What I'm going to do is go through, as is the order on the schedule. We're going to take two speakers. We will then be joined by our last speaker, Mr. Niall Brennan, shortly. After the two speakers, then we're going to take a few questions and then move on to the final two. So without further ado, sorry, I should probably say I am John Fahey from the Wolf Institute in Cambridge. I'm working here in Georgetown University and closely with DISID on interfaith initiatives between Delhi, Doha, and London. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Christian Adonis, the Internal Audit Manager of Qatar Solar Technologies.
Thank you very much, John. And my thanks and gratitude to the Doha International Center for Interfaith Dialogue for this opportunity to address the high rents as a challenge that all expatriates are facing in Qatar. Now, to discuss this whole topic of high rents, I've broken it down into 5 compartments. I will look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a background and the origin of the problem, the government intervention, what is the situation today, and is there any support from companies, and then concluding remarks. Now, many of you may not know Maslow, but some of you may know Maslow. Abraham Maslow was a psychologist, and he was struggling with the idea, what motivates human beings to behave in a certain way. And he came up with a hierarchy of needs, because he said there is a number of needs that have to be fulfilled so that an individual, a human being, can act the way they want to act and to achieve their goals in life. Amin, sorry. Can you put up the slide, please? What Maslow said, that people are motivated to fulfill basic needs before they are moving to their more advanced needs. Now, on that slide, you can see the 5 layers of needs. Maslow looked at 2 factors, basically what makes people happy, and also, number 2, the things they do to achieve that aim. He believed people have an inborn desire to be self-actualized. To be self-actualized is to be all that you can be. That means to achieve your potential. Now, before achieving this goal, a number of others have to be met, such as your need for food, water, sleep, and warmth. That is your physiological needs. Those have to be met. And those are the basic animal needs. Every animal also needs those needs. They need food, they need water, they need a place to sleep or to hide. So human beings, that is your basic needs that you need. Then the next layer of needs is your safety and security. And that is a part where the housing comes in and the rental aspect comes in. And then after that, after all those needs are satisfied, you've got the desire to fulfill the need for love, friendship, and intimacy. You want to mingle with other people. You want to be seen in the community. And then the next level is self-esteem. You want to achieve and accomplish certain things, and you want to be recognized for that. But then the most important need right at the top of the pyramid is when you become actualized. And those people that become actualized have certain characteristics. You can, like acceptance and realism. You are realistic. You accept certain things. You question, but you also accept, and you rationalize it. Problem centering. You think of what is the problem and not where do I stand within the problem. You see yourself outside the problem. Spontaneity. Autonomy and solitude. Continuous freshness and appreciation. You want to see the world with appreciation and wonder. You wake up in the morning and you smell the flower. You don't worry about how did I sleep last night? I've got this pain, I've got that pain. You appreciate things in life. And then peak experiences that you experience. And I will name an example, like the rally racer in Qatar, Alatia. He must have those peak experiences when he wins a race, every time. Now, what is the background and the origin of the problem of high rents in Qatar? We've mentioned earlier in the earlier sessions already that during the 50s and 60s, there was increasing oil revenues that brought prosperity to the country, and with prosperity, rapid growth and rapid immigration. Huge gas fields were coming into production, the economy was booming, and many construction projects were launched. Some of us witnessed it. I'm here for 16 years already. I've seen this development. The influx of labor, blue collar and white collar, created a huge demand for living quarters, which was in short supply naturally. So the country became more democratic also, and the government encouraged private entrepreneurship. With this dilemma for some, also opportunities arose for others. It was a boom time for landlords and even unscrupulous agents, rental agents. The shortage of housing was even aggravated by the loss of many inner city low-cost housing that were demolished to make room for new roads and parks. We've seen that. One example is Musharraf, where they are building up the inner city, but a lot of people had reasonable housing rentals in that area, but they've lost that. In March 2015, a residential survey done by Al-Asmach indicated many factors. Now, I won't bore you with all these factors, but some of them I will read to you. Doha municipality area is the most popular for renting apartments, for instance, and the areas are around Searing Road and downtown Doha, and they offer lower rentals for the apartments, with average rental 7,000 to 12,000 Qatar Riyal. That is in Nalsat, Musharraf, bin Mahmoud. 3-bedroom apartments will range from 8,500 to 19,000. In the Pearl and West Bay, 2-bedroom apartments have the average rental between 14,000 and 18,000. And lately I've seen there's even apartments advertised for 35,000 Qatar Riyal. Now, since 2010, the year-on-year rental increases for apartments was between 7 to 10%. And despite the year-on-year rental increases, 5 to 8% occupancies in compound rental increases of 5 to 8%, occupancies in compound villas stay as high as 90%. People don't have a choice. You have to stay and you have to adapt to the rentals. A 4-bedroom villa in Al Wab, for instance, will be available at an average monthly rental of 16,000, and a similar villa in Al Wakra would be 10,500. Villas used by executive-level expats are much more expensive, but amenities justify the high rentals and the people's living standards. On average, the trend was between 2003 to 2005, house rentals increased with 47%, mainly due to the population increase. In 2005, rents increased by 40%. The trend was not sustained through 2006, mainly due to the government's 10% cap. Now, lately the cap has been removed, but rental increases are not expected to increase dramatically, mainly due to availability. More houses are available now. The situation has changed. Now, what is the problem? Many expats cannot afford the high rentals due to high cost of education, which we will also learn about, high general cost of living, which we will also learn about later on, and insufficient support from their companies. They don't maybe not receive a full housing allowance or a rental allowance, or the allowance they receive is not enough. Now, how did people vent their anger? Social media, of course, Facebook and Twitter came in handy as the instrument to express concern, dismay, and dissatisfaction. Al-Sharq in 2015 published, a grieved individual forming groups on Facebook urged the relevant departments to curb constant increase of rents for inhumane residential units with narrow passages lacking the basic safety and security for inhabitants. They also expressed anger at self-employed brokers. Now, an Asian expat told the Gulf Times he takes a villa from locals for 3 to 5 year lease period, subdivide it, and sublease that. That way, he has a lucrative business employing agents at commission and also employing partitioning staff. Thousands of social media participants all cry out for a quick and a practical solution to the housing dilemma. But even the Burma rental rates at 3,500 for a double bedroom is high based on the distant location. Now, how did the government intervene? When average rentals increased in 2003 to 2005 by 47%, in 2006 the government limited the annual increase to only 10%. That was law number 4 of 2006. From 15 February 2008, a rental regulation came into effect which prevents any increase in rental for a period of 2 years. That is residential as well as commercial property. That is after, and then decision number 9 of 2010 applies only to commercial property on a sliding scale. So decision number 9 from the Council of Ministers that was issued in 2010 only applies to commercial properties where they've got a sliding scale for rentals and they are not allowed to increase beyond that. But currently, residential property rentals has no ceiling, so the owner or the landlord can increase as he wishes, and the tenant just has to oblige or move out and find another place. So the situation of today, there's no cap on the increases, but economic market conditions that will regulate the price increases. Tenants in the middle and upper class rental ranges have choices. You can move to other areas easily. But for the tenants in lower rental ranges, it is more difficult to weather the rental increase storms, as considerations such as schooling location, proximity to their workplace, public transport, etc., are other considerations they need to take into account. Example that I've witnessed with someone now lately is that his rent from 4,000 Qatar Riyal has increased to 7,000, and that is a 75% increase in this year. And he cannot find other suitable accommodation in his own rental, in the previous rental area or amount. Support from companies. Some companies, especially in petrochemical companies, banks, government companies, etc., or corporations, provide a housing allowance as part of the total remuneration. This allowance can be increased or can be decreased over time. Lower level junior staff may or may not receive such allowance, especially when employed by private companies. Now, what are my concluding remarks? Housing is a commodity that is directly related to market conditions. And rentals will increase or decrease based on short supply or high demand, whatever the condition is, the relative condition for that period, the rentals will go in accordance. The Qatar government has intervened successfully, but there is still room for improvement. I would suggest continued intervention to cap the rental increases at least. Expat rental property brokers exploiting the dilemma should be and has been discouraged by the government. There was a recent regulation where the government said landlords or people, agents should only be Qataris so that they can control that. To enable any worker or citizen to reach the level of self-actualization that we've shown on that pyramid, the top level, your basic needs have to be satisfied first. Thereafter, only the person will be able to achieve what he could achieve in life. And when that person achieves what he could achieve in life, he will contribute, as we've heard earlier also, to the Qatar National Vision of 2030. Because we want a knowledgeable society, and that knowledgeable society in the vision is recognized that it's not only Qataris that contribute to it, it's also expatriates that contribute to it. So we should all be able to achieve our self-actualization level so that we can contribute to a full, knowledgeable Qatari society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will now move quickly to Ms. Tayyiba Ashad, if I pronounced that correctly, from Qatar University.
Thank you, John. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and compassionate, it's my duty to present the topic on limitation of free education for expats' children. As a country with excellent vision, Qatar's future depends on citizens whose education and training prepare them to be full participants in economic, social, and political life. And Qatar has made significant efforts to improve educational opportunities. In order to fulfill the vision of education leadership, the government created the Supreme Education Council, which we call SEC, as part of the first stage of an ongoing restructuring effort and a nationwide initiative known as Education for a New Era. The SEC is responsible for education policy and setting broad and comprehensive goals for the school system. In November 2007, the SEC launched another ambitious project called the Outstanding Private Schools Project. This was designed to encourage international private schools to open branches in Qatar. Already, Qatar ranks among the top countries that host over 100 international schools. The higher education sector in Qatar consists of University of Qatar, which started life in 1977, and Qatar Foundation's Education City, which has partnership agreements with a number of world-class universities. As a great initiative by the visionary leader of Qatar, Qatar Foundation brings a world-class education opportunities to Qatar, enabling people of all ages and nationality to contribute to the country's future. Qatar places major emphasis on education in line with the Qatar National Vision for 2030, which aims to make the country a self-sufficient, sustainable economy with a highly developed human capital. Education opportunities a challenge for expatriates. In Qatar, where the population of expatriates rose to more than 80% of the total population, this continued growth accrues has created an unprecedented demand for private education. During the 2013-2014 academic year, approximately 48% of all students were enrolled in private schools in Qatar. Hand in hand with this rising demand for private education come serious challenges, not only in terms of affordability, but also in terms of access, as there are not enough places for all. Children and their families suffer from a serious shortage of school spaces in the country. It was estimated that the number of private schools in Qatar would need to expand by 6% between 2011 and 2016 to accommodate the needs of skilled expatriates moving into the country to work on the 2022 FIFA World Cup project. Qatar Education Expense and Analysis. In Qatar, higher education is a financial burden for many expatriates who live here. They often take loans to cover educational expenses that they have great difficulty paying back. Other prospective students are driven out of the country to seek degrees elsewhere. Qatari nationals can attend Qatar University, the nation's only public university, for free. Expatriates living in the country, many of them from other Arab countries or from South Asian families that lived in Qatar for generations, have to either pay to attend the university or pay steep fees to go to private ones concentrated in the education city. Tuition and fees for the academic year 2014 to 2015 in some